Just on the cloud, just like if I was watching it. Wait, you and Mr. Connor both made their shot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like simultaneously?
What's your email, David?
Put
Here.
DJ at H, and then it might pop up.
No, yeah, you have to type it.
Wait, bro, why not your thumb? Your thumb was like, fucked up.
Like this.
No, it was like this or something.
You good?
It's weird. I don't know.
Alright, before we start, if you got any questions for me?
Anything you like in particular for hard speaks other than what you delineate on your paradigm?
I mean, I'm gonna give you about 30 speaks, like.
Let's fucking go, bro.
Alright,
I mean, yeah, I want no one to get a 4-2 screw.
what is,
Fuck the bait, I don't care.
What
Not
is
an
the-
old person.
what is a bright line for tech? Like, is there a point where you'll say, no, I'm gonna truth over tech?
I mean, like, if it's like something like offensive or like racist, then I'm like,
Bro, don't bust this.
I'm not
Don't
gonna
bust some
impact,
dumb
I'm not
shit
gonna
out,
impact
bro.
your settler for like.
Don't bust out some dumb shit, dude. Swear to God,
A
David.
lot of stuff you can bust out.
as long as like, warranted, extended properly.
Dude, David, don't. Are you gonna make this run a meme round, dude?
No, this is some serious ass issues going on.
Dude, I already
Cognitive
know. It's
bias.
gonna be
Who has to
framework,
play
it's gonna be
shoes this
framework, Kant, shoes theory, owl's teeth, divergent. Yeah, I see that speech talk, bro. Okay.
Bro, this one's gonna freak out when it's like one off Wilderson.
You're right.
What if I go like, it's like 10 off, they're all like well built, like good ass offs.
The one card politics dissent. The Buddhism critique.
No religious argument.
Alright, good.
I'm not gonna.
I'm downloading it right now.
Okay.
Or is it me or is it fucking cold in here?
Yeah, it's cold.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'm good.
Okay.
From missionary projects to the boarding school, the school, the prison pipeline, standardized testing system education, zero religiously connected civilizing project of settler colonialism, standardized testing emerges and alter response to structural conditions, settler colonialism insofar as the education project emerges, referendum, settler subjectivity, the settler subject emerges, social subject, genocide, anti-blackness, conflict, civility, and respectability within educational places serve, solely culture, genocide, these within self-function, the standardized settler subjectivity itself, Valentine 14, is within the space of education where settler colonialism can be understood to, everything on savage, must make the more intelligent, the bizarre, settler, the transformation, the bodies, and consumers, the transformation, the way people think about the land, and to re-educate them so they have an interior life in the practice of being on the new education program mandated. Universal education, common residential schools, within was supposed to be the pressure no longer become nuclear units to move under people from the land serve every cultural identities within schools to all culture with still the values of the society that other cultural worlds and all my settler colonial values and still through school remains educational institutions to exist doctrine children with a colonial understanding of the world education and how to use standardized education over domain settler control be described settler colonization rules on described on all conditions of the colonized territory and the form of space and enclosures schools universally in opposition world decolonization epicenter for the vegetation indigenous epistemology institutions are invested in industry with colonization domestic indigenous values are practiced by regulated where academics can have control ways in which you can engage decolonize the work and this itself manifests in the production of Western knowledge itself being an arbitrary value vis-a-vis standardized has and to recuperate the education body colonial and colonial institutionally recently the criminal standard for colonial government Smith 18. Standardized on embracing new epistemology, the difference connecting effective native performance of knowledge, the Western side education, and also that these countries in the classroom and into the going there, I'm not sure the experience in the world with Western competencies and based on features from so one knowledge will be able to representation know how much do has these students are like when they actually demonstrate the true knowledge and however we have to be aware of liberal strategy that have new recognition to higher education, even little attempts to standardized testing through topical affirm become the base of a nervous inclusion that really covers story for the nation minority communities in the academy. This narrative ensures that civil colonialism willing to the liberal magic but tell social justice can be human rights, other colonialism, articulate sufficient people, landing, obtain the structure, everything for digital dignity, vulnerability, costs like inclusion, to be individual, be the relation, land, not like the equal treatment, opportunities by other colonialism, the reviews, and financial social justice, species, allowed by the being subject state, telling facility with liberty, humans, and social species, other logic, human heals, subject to the evolved language, opposite inclusion, managed space, and foreclosed, to regulation, to be approximately racial, individuality, kind of opposition, group, the change, terms, security, seats, into any sin, but domination, they like domination, requires radical disruption, part inclusion, not just disrupting, continually accumulation, due possession, way to receive, logic, inclusion, violent purpose, ability, society based on the racial, mentioning, the was accused of college career, why institutional learning and unaltered hijack that education become another part of the instruction that against imagination, how thus our advocacy, the money seen racism with the variety method resisting against white federal structure of education instead of endorsing a project sellers and Dutch willing to refuse cohesively inclusion, internal debates and resumption of the topic and further potential for variety, accident, injunction, children, and narratives of inclusion, reconciliation that ultimately the possibility for the academic industrial complex, carving out spaces for variety inside of educational structural debates necessary for potential for decolonial was Belcourt. Decolonization in federal becoming decolonization and political future perfect. That's all the government the work of attacking engineering from the political engineer reminds us the world is not for us. A federal super space to theorize. Federally trapped and land vice average for those subjects to tether to waiting for engineering city to be colonized, never trapped civilization recognition of people lawless render the governable motivating sellers to carry action by engineering strategy, constituting knowledge and people for the continuing to a very extent mania, constantly manly second to be living things over the waste of inside average ready to find when to move forward from the citizenship refuses the Robert G calls for black digital lifestyle claims to purge engineering percent of human and non-human decolonization to be seen on some of the federal monsters to be served in rooms where engineers was a waste of a called reserve constituted winners at the definition of the reserve. Other Korean digital to exit with decline one of the future Korean digital so that will they become the absent watching history and people as you drive for ungovernable the office and institutions to queer and digital to guys which will they refuse to let go of the past that cause having to settle anything off for the point of moments colonial mind what would happen if we should refuse domestication instead shows only within moments of virality like the which university are most of individuals resistance against other claims impossible to daily through with the radical self-governments and building of happy shows that only possible within indigenous space that decolonization becomes an attainable future Valentine 2. The teenage is the age of flexibility overall to from academic institutionally goes when I should remain to operate as opposite of colonization, teach too much back where you space where bodies can with the land and learning to which hands to leave exchange outside of the capital community of self-government in space that decolonization can move. Government afford something we create space where bodies can educate without going to deadly until education that removes bodies from dependency on social capital and space of critical change return from the chief that part of the part of the public teachers service council colonial attraction by removing disposable bodies away so even wages and so generation over the knowledge practice and alternative these youth those software realities return for the home led hygiene workshop and community garden but teacher produces love especially by an organization historical trauma and the contribute betrayal from the society right education for native folks and cultural families just meant hope in the university. Is it the only ethical obligation to have advocacy for alternative forms of schooling away from the eyes of the settler community and the reservation form of accident refusal to participate in educational structures that has been ongoing just having indigenous people feels extreme. Native students at the high drop away now we're looking to discuss about the achievement of every American Indian scholar when you change out this value education about the pay native education be traced by the orders of the government will secure the insane the man native student work for even the European native force of the native language to have a bachelor team of good temperature when grows with the nation's work graduation when skepticism and Native American if zero credibility within the devil there will historical trauma with these generation the government's mandates obligation to fight education with the all the indigo exception trees on decades ago preaching new movement never been easy to high salaries so the structure that Native Americans show in high reservation the students every sport and natural ways are always different or yellow out unknown when she think less to become a teacher black be working to be new break change physical trauma by facing head up college return months later than academic standing comes government for construction investment control control and then you see where education and makes well the starts with the right place travel culture opportunity public to be easy because that will get people coming or second reservation shits in a circle banding on how well much on review one is our thesis argument that settlers have structured education through a led to standardization through repetitive affirmation space like debate which is especially true as Asian American with the space of the mechanism motivation make the myth of all minority because finally weaponizing black individuals are not deemed to have not similarly well enough means you should view the affirmative speech act and dissemination with standardization way to scramble the codes of standardization open space for fair education Henderson 15 Settler financial legitimate charge in the early practice of my jungle joint jet settle forces see the beach side colonization regular difficulty with the imaginary sea let's see us every game state on the hill because it was more now so the omnis soldiers of the satellite will examine they call the ways and social feel to be disciplined to the so but also by avenue which other opponents to be on the super between us and wholeness all the ways to be facts and this report of because supporting these flights settle structure they're factorized every life with the means of right natural settler attacking investments that was the easy repetition of the easy reproduction of the subject and the liberation machine is a dive of concept disrupted I'll send this card afterward procedural errors and internally non-internally impact the vision of procedurals can be questioned which is the normal game that we get hierarchy the cycle the frame should be viewed sufficient because not traditional with the innovative acting game from 16. We can use all revolutionary games, federal policy, beliefs, and games with the institutional rules, membership, public policy, innovation, with the continue the game, self-production, policy, settle, when you have one game, continue the game with the news, when the game represents the feedback, the effect with the very grand measures possible.
I'll just send it, yeah, because I don't need to demarcate where I cut it, yeah. I just,
this Bryant evidence, you say procedural fairness is an internal link, not a terminal impact.
Yeah, the Bryan evidence is just like a perpetuation model of debate as a game crowds that
Is
discussion.
debate good?
Huh?
Debate bad? Debate good?
No,
What's your stance?
debate's fine. Like, I don't think our affirmative talks about
Okay,
debate.
how does fairness recreate hierarchy?
Yeah, so it just says that your perpetuation model of debate is a game that crowds that discussion of every community, so.
Crowd does discussion, how does that do that?
Yeah, so we say basically that the one AC or whatever the one NC will be, I'm assuming that it'll be framework crowds of discussions, i.e. says that our form of politics cannot be discussed in a way, or at least has to be constantly digestible to.
Wait,
what
hold
we-
on, so your form of, so is it like up to you to decide how your form of politics should be discussed?
It's, what do you mean?
It's fine. Let's go to,
I don't know what that question's asking, like,
so do you defend, any sort of implementation?
of what?
Of, like,
We defend our advocacy.
Okay, so, do you defend removing standardized testing from undergrad?
I don't think that we defend like whatever.
Okay, I want you to defend the divergent aptitude tests.
What?
I want you to
don't know-
defend
I don't know
removing
what those-
divergent
I don't-
aptitude
I
tests.
don't know what those are.
Okay, I want you to defend the owls, removing owls from.
I don't know what those are.
That's fine.
I think that we defend our advocacy text.
That's fine. Let's go to, what is virality?
Yeah, so we say a couple things about plurality. It's essentially, what our argument says is that its ability for indigenous folks to create forms of resistance, refusal, and modes of resistance sociality. So it's Ticina Bush University, which
Is
what
the
our.
subject static?
Huh?
Is the subject static?
I don't, I think that our argument actually is Deleuzian because it talks about how affective relationships and sociality is only possible within.
Is the
modes of
subject
plurality.
static though?
I don't know. I think that if you're asking.
I want you to take a stance that the subject is static.
What does it mean for the subject to be static?
Like, is there stable affinity between people?
I don't think our affirmative talks about that. I mean, our
I
plurality.
mean, I still want you to
argument-
take a stance on it. You make
Our
like a
plurality,
relationship
I don't know what the implication
So,
of taking a stance.
you,
I
one
don't
year is
know.
not gonna stand up and say like the subject is like fluid?
I don't think that our argument is like based on fluidity, no. We talk
Okay,
about
Cool.
identification.
Let's go,
We talk about like racialized.
let's go to the
forms.
underview. You say settlers have structured education through the
Oh,
lens of
these are gonna be
standard.
okay, yeah. Huh?
Settlers have structured education through the lens of standardization.
Yeah, I mean,
So, and then this is like.
that's what our text says, yeah.
Okay, so does this like, what is this critiquing?
What, the Valentine evidence?
The Henderson 15 evidence.
The Henderson card talks about why, particularly, the standardization is.
Standardization is bad.
Sorry, it's.
Is it just
not only
standardization is bad?
Standardization is bad, but why uniform identity categories are also bad.
So, identity categories are bad.
No, we don't say identity.
You just said
categories
identity
are bad.
categories are bad.
No, like a standardization that occurs, i.e. that like Asian Americans are positioned in the position of, are.
How is that
positioned
unique to like that
In a place of the model.
social location?
Hmm?
How is that unique to that social location?
Because the myth of the minority, model minority pertains to Asian folks in particular. I'm not sure what that question's asking. It's like a specific racial analysis.
Certain.
And to answer your question about like standardization though, it's just that there is a uniform way in which we're supposed to like expected to broadly interact with the space of debate. I was kind of confused in your question because I thought you were talking about like a different piece of evidence.
It's fine. I'll send out the doc.
How many up?
Let me count, hold on.
How much time do you have left by the way for prep?
422. It's, 5, then case.
Okay, on case, are we just on top down?
No, yeah, no, the underview cards and then case.
What's it called again? How much time do you have left for prep by the way?
422.
422 left or, oh yeah, okay, cool. So, 4 off, right?
Yeah.
Or 5?
I'm like unclear, please. Okay, I'm gonna be starting with the third off. You ready?
Wait, so you're starting on the third off?
Oh, wait, what? Wait, what is the third off?
Shoes?
Yeah. Alright. He's wearing shoes.
And then so, alright, and then after, if you, so, when we get to the third off,
And then it'll be top now. It's just gonna be a little John, just pretend the shoes thing is on top.
alright, so shoes,
Yeah.
T-framework, open source, and then, okay.
Then like the paradigm shoes.
Okay,
Alright, we good?
yeah.
Interpretation of between not shit violation of shoot to blood taken off since the already heard my time looking shit that literally look at them the few definitions choose one point is a covering for the foot having a 30 seconds something as really is something to sure shifted. Also a picture in the speech shot for you to reference standards 1.4 shoes are bad for you that's when you shoes are just on your feet number of periodic cardiac shoes that is bad and that going barefoot is better shoes actually increase your odds of getting injured 120 seconds health is avoiding issue the inverse of non should be in the first debate in the first seconds cognitive bias shoes affect judge's perception of competitors HSU so you cannot reach judge's person by looking at the shoe research found that people are able to correctly standard strange with income, political affiliation, other important personality, looking at the prison shoes, so examining shoe participants are able to guess 90% of the owner's personal characteristics. This is how you can determine the personality with unfair in the first. That's chronic bias against me that taking shoe off doesn't solve that. The ancillary story. There's monetary disparities if they went at the first two standards their model debaters who support debaters who because it means that the people have a race that's talked about to the most expensive shoes possible to win the debate. They shut out small schools that can afford them. I literally have to take a bus home every single day. I can't afford shoes. Next off, interpretation of the firm debater must definitely have the action the resolution by which called universal not considered standard assessing undergraduate admission devaluation data for algae instead of a resolution TV would solve using standard assessing colonial so removing it would solve your solve home status. The second switch I debate you would solve reading on negative with the link of colonialism and that the ability for both types to engage substantive levels just key to finish and testability for the pedagogy and level finger standard 1.0 limits are literally infinite possible for no on the bounds of resolution you find interpretation makes my chance to fairly engage in self level and impossible you only have advocates text that only advocacy text can also inside and not know their advantages in referring third ground by reading nothing and vigilant loyalty to the routine are things like quality C caps etc. is bad because they gives them the ability to find the position should working on the filter documents to not defend the resolution meaning they can defend all things like racism is bad and not really helps you to stay stand up and stay as good which is really means to engage and if you do so reason control the influence difference because we need equal ability to engage on document no impact on 1.0 here is something that sets a norm and until a judge that means the theory itself can be changed and restructured before the imposition of a norm means that it's not bad because they have to win internal to our dialogue. Second is theory is a question of testing the affirmative and not going to if the anything else papers over the violence on the next off. Interpretation of TSV bid determining terms debaters methods all contribute speech talks with source with highlighting on the NCCA wiki at least an hour before debating violation you do not disclose anything you do not disclose with highlighting you can go check 1.7 things open source with highlighting is the only way to verify around the arguments goes otherwise you have an unethically distributed meeting at the evidence of the partner you wouldn't be able to verify you go to second step to caution open source law debaters should come up with more and more wants to research objects there are putting evidence before and that's a much faster rate to at least a high quality evidence of instead of guessing who you can control intelligence because it's the only way to make arguments in the first place. Next is some paradigm issues. They float this under like the theory stuff. One point is fierce in the voter because of the being about actual growth efforts and being covered must work. It also means it comes from any role about claims it comes from medical control to your ability to determine who means your role about if you speak for attendance and I also speak for the also be able to judge the truth value of substance. Second is a place to talk about the impacts of case out parts in case of things sort of means that you don't care about the discussion. You just want to prove that the act doesn't have an impact. Second is education of voters service in schools. Third is that competing answers of reason but it's arbitrary. So it's any bright line. Second is norming competing answers. Got a risk of talking to the best also annoy instead of setting a bright line, testing how abusive you can be without violating. Fourth is drop the debate on you. That's it. Advocacy drop there. You're dropping the advocate. Second is for future abuse and that's what applies to all shall say. The next is RVS logical. You don't word the meaning and burden because especially on debate and definition of object here. Interpretive logical medical argumentation. Every other argument presumes this logical to validate. Next off for this one and separate also some other paradigm issues. Negating sort of means that you should just stop listening to city for any good negative 8.12 then the UNF infinite purpose means you go forces generics and guarantee the analysis for any analysis maker study 6 is when you research the critique and clause you can use potential limits and NC species I was on verifiability sensitive data clause to 1 year this third is that you go to your clause means you have to just psychology we got to agree with every argument that 2 can go for a list of 2 but you say on the say on a narration you know we see often explain 1 point is truth testing if was at a disadvantage in the run then I cannot trust the truth that leave the affirmative you should presume it's false this also applies to any sort of embedded clause second is resolvability if there were 2 competing players on that and each other that becomes unresolvable you don't know what to vote off that's always because it's sure to be out of the kids hands which means that you should just evaluate theory before everything evaluate theory after the 200 1 point is I don't have a 300 valence theory after 2 it's just putting a short that I can't put on the 2 arguments you should extrapolation and respond to 2 arguments second time to the half a time just piece on between 3 and 2 are in 4 minutes oh and I only have 6 minutes and then 2 next up yeah This sort of part of my audience, practical reason 3 warrants 1.3 because if you're one better, you can answer the question, why should I do this? And not continue to ask why on the practical reason for the foundation ethics is why should I be actually consider operating power agencies? Your agency of ethical standards I win because they determine the council more for the senior absent guarding is medical confirming the argument are relative, normative consideration, and reason must be universal. A reason for one agent is a reason for another agent. I can see two ballistic vehicles for it's true for me, but not for you. That's single here. B points any non-universal or not just by someone's ability to be your as a influence to ask him recognize other may affect my perceive the enemies. I recognize the other. Thus it seems consistency with the omnilateral impact. The framework is not consequential. All that matters is the action because freedom is not additive, so something that is intrinsic and does not depend on contingency. Negate one point is that any only universalizability can effectively expand the perspective of agents. That's the best time for combating oppression. That's far O2. The fact that I cannot satisfy my considering what's actions because that imperial character must be punished in the form of the universal occasions. More the maxes that are not held, the individual is not allowed to exclude other moral agents, the universal the principle of constitute inclusion, perspective of other moral. Second, freedom implies that innate right to determine the cause of your action. The state or nature power controls this absent of public authority rights. Violations are inevitable. We need an omnilateral. Any claim for destruction of the state means that you negate that's a Varden 10 right. Full destruction possible to state and nature, establishing individuals and peace, security, violence against one another. In my rather than you ultimately governs the interaction. Only public authority enables our interaction with your consent with the 80% in a right of freedom on behalf of everyone. Third is independently not being non-T says something that's inconsistent, that not consistent with your assistant. Everyone who non-T would have the conception of what to talk about debate would just be a place where people go and talk about things and never engage in I solve under a framing since you can't make any sort of change in the world. Over case induction fails, like framework, forcing harms are relevant. One point is induction fails, you don't know what happened to path happen exactly a few years. The second is prediction is impossible. Any action includes dominant effects that happens disaster impacts or for example, affects the impact of least to a butterfly effect that eventually causes my seeds returning to correct again tells us the third is consequential cannot by the actions that any external frame or only must be action can be seeing certain actions better cause a reason for the which is external consequences. The reason must be ground operation. Fourth is everything that is good must be good for someone, but there's no aggregation. Who will aggregate value is good now. Creates proper plan for ferality is defined as ferality. The noun, the quality of being feral. That's like Google. And for feral is a wild state, especially after escape from captivity or domestication. This means that the freedom is too wild. It should be voted down for being violent and the activity that, and they were not in captivity before they're on. You saw that, which means that you can't vote affirmative. The line by line DF on it. They're one of minority argument. That's completely non-unique. I'm Mexican or whatever. There's a myth of me like being extremely part of and still in the activity, which means this argument is completely non-unique. I'm reading theory, just like proves this argument incorrect. Second is that we see cross-ups or whatever takes this argument out. You say fairness is not on the bright evidence. One point is that every argument concedes the authority of fairness in activity, which means it is something that is terminal and not something that is it means to me that it should be about. Second is that controlling external accessibility. No, it was completely side garbage, which means that it functions as an end and functions as a higher to any other argument. Third is that it is a terminal. It is like completely terminal because unfairness is an effect to an action. If I do something that's completely unfair, which means that it is terminal. Finally, if I can finally like this is functionally going to be a silencing dissent, but no, the argument is that I could not have engaged with the affirmative. This is non-universalizable because if there was like an indigenous person that wanted to engage with the affirmative, it would be completely horrible. Now another framing issue on the after debate will still be around after the affirmative or the negative, which means that changing the structure of debate doesn't do anything. Or like the after doesn't do anything to change debate.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay, let me just. It was 5 off too, right?
Sure.
Okay, cool. Let's go to the con argument. What's the implication of it?
Which one?
The last one, the one that's like agency or whatever. Like, what is the
Everything that is good must be good for someone, but under your framework, there's like no stable like subject or whatever, so there's no like good for whom that is. So the app doesn't do anything.
Wait, so the link is to dilutes?
No, it's just like
What? Okay.
any alternate framework that
Let's
is
go
not
to the.
cons.
Let's say that there's
is
freedom. There's like destroying the state is bad. The Varden 10 evidence. Where does the app advocate that we should destroy the state?
No, it's your critique of the state that's bad.
What? So we should never criticize the state.
You're critiquing something that's good.
Wait, so we should never criticize the state. So is people like complaining or just, like
No,
protesting against like
I'm saying
like,
that
the lynching of Emmett Till?
like
Is that
sure,
bad in
the
your
state
ethical
can
framework?
be changed. That's my argument. Your argument
Wait, where
is
does the
that
Varden 10 evidence advocate
your
that the state can be
argument is
changed?
that the state is still a necessary structure, and like trying to get rid of it, i.e. the affirmative.
What
is
part
bad.
of the app does it say the state is bad? We make reason as to why.
Dude, you read a set call app.
So
you
the
say the state is
so
bad.
the implication is that you just accused us of saying something that we didn't even say in the
No,
affirmative.
you said like colonialism, etc.
That seems like criminalization. Let's go to the
No,
next
it's
stuff.
not. It's not
The shoes
criminalization.
argument. Why should you tell people what they should wear?
The argument is that in the context of shoes, wearing them is bad.
No, but why should you tell people what people should wear?
It's just a norm that we set. We say that this norm would be good.
That's not
It's
an
no
issue.
different from any
Why
other.
should David Herrera tell people what they should wear?
For foot health and cognitive bias.
Okay. That does not seem responsive at all. Like the cognitive bias argument, you were wearing shoes when we were talking to the judge before the round.
No,
How
I
is that
wasn't.
unique? Yes, you were.
No, it wasn't.
How is it verifiable if you were or not?
I took a picture of you wearing shoes. I don't, like, now.
Took a picture of my shoes?
Actually, sorry, did not. I just like, I took a mental picture because I was looking at them a long time that like got ingrained in my mind. I was not wearing shoes.
Okay, what about stepping on a nail? How does it
No.
prevent that?
No. The Tweenie 08 evidence says that shoes increase your odds of getting injured by 123%. There's not going to be like a nail on the floor.
What's the statistic that Tweenie did? What's a study?
Sure, I could read you the card.
Yeah, what is the study from? What's like the p-value of the study? How is it empirically verified? 182% seems like a lot.
Your shoes are destroying your feet. A number of podiatric studies show that going barefoot is better. Shoes actually increase your odds of getting injured by 123%.
Okay, let's get to
I love you,
the
John.
fairness argument. The virality plan flaw, why is that a reason to drop the debater?
Well, it's just a reason that we should reject your advocacy, like your F.
Why?
There's two implications.
Is it-
First, if like you're too wild in the activity, I think that just like causes judge intervention. Second is that
Wait, why?
you were not captive before the round.
What?
And violence is probably bad, right?
David, what is wrong with you, fellow? Alright, what is for Fred?
God, I love you. Okay. Never forget that.
case, bring shoes, highlighters.
Yeah, also delineates like very clearly. Oh my god, bro.
Or
Plurality cards of spaces, but indigenous sociality, which space like Jesuit, which university, not as a form of refusal, participating in settler space like the university, but a space of resistance by indigenous students for indigenous students. You can start down to two evidence. These spaces we spill over activism by indigenous students onto the reservation makes equal money reality, but also learn skills like language and dance. Other ways in which I was framing and also love your theory. I want to get the education makes community translate after to tangibly change like resistance with dance integration, building up indigenous community from the bottom of which space. Terms of which always all of your, which always all of your impacts. Now, we also see the topic of you see the topic of base will be always being intrinsically violent. Those argument that we made in the Patel agreement. That's why certainly never reservation with the university to help the base and levy defend. Based on because of the Muslim compensatory backup the effect of the university and with the tokenization people club, which was a conceded argument that we made on the topic. Let's go to the framework page proper first. One is I meet with two other illustrations, people to choose subject contract, two cases, like in United States, counter information, the close United States, because identified settler ones, you can see our balance of the boarding school frame, the structure of education, and the way we understand education structure, the education struggles, unique, what's counter information, absolutely fair, and the benefits, that skills, what the way, not the cases, why, or for politics, gender, from services, governance, and decolonization without, ways from this all the vector, contribution, all because your model goes on, you should lose your result, we have 2 days, which is appropriate reasons to walk you up with which have ways all of your fairness arguments as well. One is, one factor, one is a colonial education, is that fair, is a colonial education, the mental standardization, the big education, was the only so would have had to political to be loyal to the government, the socialism, want to see the fairness teacher, but the statements of the citizen, or to appreciate what her fair education, both the colonial mindset, but making forms of even also want to see also debating they came without with the resistant with the parents of Southern which we have to win the Asian Americans and the Southern standardization, get those in the weapons and classical identity, we can revive yourself when it's not the mythology, mental page, uniform cards, what you see, not just from how to the visuals, the minds of you, but here in her nation, the actual interpretation of these rational purposes, they can cause like more opposites to be from this benefits, freedom topic, restriction limits argument, also on your fairness claims. One is that using creates more fairness because you read more than one against better features, second fairness and level self-correct, judging on box, etc. These matters no not the fact that you have to think generation and feeling relevant enough, which will take your limit argument. One is that desire for organization, other human property, which is why the one saying is criminalization, their tendency to be just how all the absolute people they do, how they be bodies will be for other people's culture activities are all the same, which is logic, criminality, written upon the firm, user, property, time to drop, and people is open limiting fair reason, and it says that without alternative ways for the basic and forbidden this job is an you say you can basic parents, you can tend to get the thing that's allowed to be offered and restricted to you. Don't really engage only engage in the system of cycle one, which takes your on the plan for argument. One is a superset determined on author specifically right out prefer because your nation knows the cross event and idea, which takes your morality argument. This is not specifically the firm which is always rejected. Also takes your impact turn arguments of why other impact arguments because they say doesn't say no, knows about your whichever form is unique, it's not a question of norm spending on your question of truth and the answer. No, so it sense why you should care about performance specifically on your other something which takes your knowledge is this as well, which is also by ground and so always letting on your chocolate version. Yeah, there's no explanation how it's also how it results the affirm, which means that not choose but you have no way to be improvable claim as to why the shoe on your shoes argument. One how implicit counterpation costs why the term make the case for often the reason why your model is good. One as is the paternalistic establishment until the able to the what to wear, which represents why there's one settler from settler governance would be the factor. Second, third term, you can step on a nail, which is a reason why the shoes are able to protect anyone. You know you wearing shoes before we were talking about the Germans not needing it. It's also unverifiable. If I was wearing shoes in her place, these could just be an illusion. Which is why it's unverifiable. Go to your you also go to Strake, which takes something which has a Strake argument on your headlining claim. One is that it's another implicit counterpation. Also with an evident full ability, encourage you to flow better, follow the speech on more around case that's really the one is that you criminalize me. No, speech on think when you do something you think we're gonna do something bad, people actually do, which reasons why you're this much form of criminalization. Second is that it's not verifiable, there's no screenshot. Think when you should I mean the line your computer highlights yeah, which we mean your interpretation on your brother in the clash or no, but there's no violent we just goes yeah exactly the way it was, which there's no like a clash there's no reason why distinguish why you need highlight specifically he do think it's that better when we disclose the entire event on your front and fairness on your interpretation one knows he's on your drop on your no. What is the office one? On your choosing claims, one presuming it just calls show for violence or reviews the trouble of the same name, which is if it's only minor result, which is only minor reason why you should drop 15 seconds. On your result, the claims one is no warrant judge, but on the how much you really prove this, not showing value to up to 2 and R1 knows if the aggressor that you have to draw the line somewhere. I have no 3 R and second, there's going to be the living means because around because interest class 18, I can't answer still, which is the last week, that's bad and signs of people club, which reason we should drop argument, types of argument, nothing 59, you both get 13 minutes on your offense, on your con argument. When you say one on your no link argument, on your state link argument, no link, we don't say the sort of state about the beach, say our method, your non-cases argument one knows not given without play. We just be practicing was one of the according to you. I debate could still exist. I debate could still exist. That we would just be debating about different stuff. But also take your consequence argument. You got to come to voting for an argument that would sound people of color.
What was the last argument?
You should feel very uncomfortable for using the contemplation of feels arguments and index to be affirmative. That thinks that we can verify that the speech act was violent, which is a reason why you should reject that.
What are reasons fairness is not a voter?
There are reasons why we impact turn it. How much time do you have?
422.
420.
response to the, like, plan flaw?
One is that it's silly, it's a term of art of our authors specifically use in terms of the context of indigeneity, and you should refer because they're indigenous and know their scholarship better than you do and better than your dictionary does. Please collapse the plan.
What was, what was your counter interpret text for shoes?
Just an implicit counter-interpretation. Any terms we make are a reason as to why your interpretation is pragmatically bad.
Any terms I make? What does that mean?
Like, if we make offensive terms, those would be implicit reasons why the counter-interpretation is true, because it proves that your model debate is bad.
Okay.
Just different form.
What was the response to negating is harder?
We make like implicit at-flash arguments.
What are they?
One was the times used on unique argument, which would be a reason as to why.
Okay, what's the next
Negating is
argument?
harder. I think that was like it's specifically on that Kent standard text. Right?
Okay, what was the response to develop theory data after the 2 and R?
I think that
What was the response?
I just have to like repeat the 2 and R for you. Yeah.
I wonder if very.
One is that it's infinitely aggressive because I have no 3 error, which means you have to draw the line somewhere. There's no reason as to why the 2 and R is uniquely key. Second is means negs when every round, so you just collapse the T and I can't answer it in my last speech. It's bad because it silences people of color. 3 is times Q is not unique. We both get 13 minutes. You're gonna get a lot of stuff.
I'm just trying to close my doors, dude.
But love is a flipping door.
That's why I love you.
Thanks, bro.
What was the response to no AC offense wing?
Hold on. Yeah. One was that we answered the truth testing claims that you made, the sneaking native argument, and then there's no warrant. Judges vote off of non-TFs all the time, which empirically proves that the resolvability claim is not true. Otherwise,
Okay, that's
every
fine.
round with a non-topical app would just be irresolvable, which is not true.
I'm sorry, Devin.
The order is shoes theory.
Overview to theory.
What do you want me to flow that?
T framework. Float on T framework. Open source. The fairness/paradigm page. Shoes. Kant and hash.
Okay, so it's gonna be 2 frameworks, open source, shoes.
Shoes.
Right?
Yeah, Kant's last.
Where's the
Kant
fairness?
case.
Where does the fairness page go?
After open source.
Okay.
Like the big paradigm page, that's a fairness page.
Hold up. Okay.
There's two framing issues on the entire theory piece. One, first is that they need an RBI to win any impact turns. Extend no RBI systological. You don't reward them for needing the burden of being fair. They have to provide the specific rhetoric of being reading the teachers unique, like independently reject impact turns. One point is key. Flow is simply a question of testing the which world is better. If they win, the world is better. So that's a reason to reject the T argument, not the debater. Second is look T as a test of computation. Really, T is a good thing regardless, since it tests multiple strategies, which is key to good decision making, especially for indigenous people, since it allows them for strategizing and liberation strategy. Third, I just claim their model debate was a pragmatic good. They have to win that their model debate is good, absent simply voting affirmative. Four is that they weren't clearly delineated as voters in the 1 yard. So don't let them whisper in those 2 yard. 5 is that they have to win the act and the roll ballot to win the impact turns. Otherwise, there's no framework on which they operate, and I'm going to be crushing them on the constancy. 6 is the cap said voting affirmative on the impact turns is a form of affective catharsis that makes you feel good for rejecting, but displays a necessary political organization to create strategies that materially change the world. Turns the case because it proves that they're placing faith in these colonialist strategies. 7 is use strength and length. This debate is really messy, and this year persuasion spin makes it irresolvable, which means that you default to the rest of the debate if I'm handling the arguments well. 8 is the part of T is bad that you vote, and then you vote against me on this argument, then you're voting on topicality, which is a reason. Takes out all the T for yourself. And the open source stuff I extend with no RBIs takes out the entirety argument. The criminalization, this is just an impact turn. In fact, it's just an impact turn. The big paradigm issues page. Get onto that page. Some paradigm issues. Okay, so we'll consider reasons fairness is not a voter. Independently, fairness is not a voter. Well, fairness is not a voter. One put a subgroup of unfairness and inevitable subdivision means that which means that the substance outweighs second. Is just a cheap excuse to win. Also, a cheap excuse to win. Obviously, debate is just going to make like sketchy justifications, which means that fairness doesn't matter. Independently, you've conceded a few. No AC offense weighing. Extend the resolvability justification. If there's two competing layers that indict each other, then the debate becomes completely irresolvable, and you don't know what to vote off of. This is always because it shows that debate out of the kid's hands. This is a question of what the judge should do to line ballot. You say that judges go on T all the time. The only response is judges go on T all the time. Even if they go on T all the time, that's just a reason the judges are really bad judges. It's a question of obligations. Your obligation is to make the debate as resolvable as possible, and if the debate is completely irresolvable, which Devin, it's going to be really fucking irresolvable. You should just get rid of like any sort of AC offense whatsoever. You can now extend the evaluate the theory debate after the 2 NR. It was functional. There was a really good argument that was conceded. I have no 3 NR, so evaluating the theory debate after 2 NR puts me at a structural disadvantage. Second, can't point out any 2-way arguments, shift or extrapolation to response to the 2 arguments. The only response is that it was infinitely regressive. Or no, it's not infinitely regressive because there's not going to be a debate where you have a 2-way or etc. The argument is that I have no 3 and R, and the debate ends there after the 2-way R, which means that it's something that's empirical. You say the negative wins, and that's going to lead to the negative winning every single round. Our argument, that's probably good since we're at a structural disadvantage. No reason why that's bad. You say it silences people of color. I am a person of color, and it's not silencing me, which means this argument is completely ridiculous. Now so cool. Let's go to the next few fairness stuff. Yeah, so that's like the fairness stuff. Alright, shoes. Go to shoes. Alright. Extend the interpretation of shoes, not wear shoes. There's a few definitions of a shoes and covering for you're having a sort of soul. He's wearing shoes right now. He violates the interpretation, and we're going for the cognitive bias standard. Different shoes affect the judge's perception of competitor. That's the HS2 12 evidence indicates that people wearing shoes, the judge can just like look at a person and know who they are and what their socioeconomic background is and how they will evaluate the run just by looking at the person's shoes. It puts me at a cognitive disadvantage because I do not have shoes on and they have shoes. That means that they're more likely to win the round. That also means you cannot take any single other argument into account on the flow. Like no other argument, because I'm already a structural disadvantage and you're more inclined to vote for him. That's what's a conceded argument in the last flow. Like he conceded the cognitive bias standard, and you conceded this also. I always argue the other standard because you can't determine the rest of the round. Like that was conceded in the last speech. The line by line in the counter. So if you say it's paternalistic, however, no, there's a few responses here. Is that this is not unique. Literally every single norm setting argument is paternalistic. So your counter interprets paternalistic. Your advocacy text for your role valid. These are all paternalistic arguments. So absolutely no definition of what is specifically paternalistic, which means that you should just not evaluate this for every second. Second is that theory is just all openly a question. Theory is just a question of norm setting and evaluating which is the best norm for the debate. If I want to not wearing shoes is a good norm of the activity because it just completely screws over specific students, and you should not wear. Then it's just something that's not paternalistic. You say people are going to step on nails, however, no cross apply between evidence indicates that there's more likely, there's more chances of people getting hurt if they're not wearing shoes, if they're wearing shoes, etc. This is just a study done this outweighs because this was a study. The argument is just completely analytical and assertion that just makes sense. You say you have an illusion. You're not, or no. I've never worn shoes before the round or whatever. That's there's not verifiable. They're wearing shoes right now, which means that that's infinitely more verifiable. You see, they have an optical illusion. Even if they have an optical illusion, you're still more inclined to vote for them because you can see that optical illusion, which means that argument doesn't matter. Let's go to the contents here. You've screwed up on the constancy that, hey, I'm gonna split the 2 and R, but they've conceded the constancy. Extend the starting quarter more is practical reason. There's extend the first warrant, there's rigorous. Any theory can be ID. When you can answer the question, why should I do this? Not conceded. It's only practical reason provides the deductive foundation for accuracy. This is the question, why should I read rational concede authority agency? Now you can see the meta ethical standards outweigh like any sort of standard, even like the theory page, like because those have standards under them because they count as a warrant for a standard. So outside guarding is some ethical framework arguments are relative more to non-consideration, which means that non-consideration. Now extend the universalizability, something that's logical. A reason for one agent, it must be a reason for other agent. That was conceded in the last stage. Now extend the impact of standard consistency, like the impact how we can only care about intentions within this round, which means that also means that any impact coming out of the theory page does not matter because only the intention or the norm of wearing shoes matters in the activity. Now that was conceded, only intentions matter. Now extend the reason to negate. There's 2 reasons. First, the substance of only universalized a reason can affect explain the perspective of agency. That's the best method for combating oppression whatsoever. That's also turns the case and it is able to solve the entire case of RO2 evidence. The next reason is that induction fails. We don't know. There's no more for happening in the past happen exactly the same in the future. They say that you should be epistemically sus about this argument, but there's no warrant whatsoever. Look, induction fails also means that any of the fairness stuff or the dissats, the impactors that they're probably going to go for, we don't know if those are going to happen. You can only vote off the substance stuff and the shoe stuff. We don't know those are going to happen because there's no warrant for that.
How much time do I have?
You have 2 minutes left.
Yeah. 2 minutes left.
I think you said you had 2 minutes left.
Okay. Let me just make sure. I think I found it. Okay.
Bro, I love you, dude. Trust me, dude.
Did you concede? You conceded on the fairness law. That fairness isn't a voter, right? Substance.
Yeah, it's not a voter.
Okay, then why do we care about theory?
Because cognitive bias is not.
You said it was bad because the judge assumes that.
Yeah, it's cognitive bias is different from fairness. Argument is that.
That is a wait.
It's
how
an
is that
independent
not?
voter.
When was it articulated as independent voter at all?
It's an independent voter.
Oh, okay, so you're making that after you finish the 2.
It constrains all pragmatic justification whatsoever.
These are silly. Okay.
Whatever. The extrapolation was made on
We're not
the
changing
machine
this
page.
page. Starts on case, goes to framework, and then answers. I'll just delineate because there's a couple of underlying questions, but this will be very top heavy information.
Alright, so you're starting on case and then where?
Case, then the framework page, and then Kant, and then shoes.
Alright.
Yeah.
Also, be very loud when you're switching flows.
Yeah, I will. Okay.
So it's case when
Yeah.
case, Kant, shoes.
Yeah.
Will be very top heavy because David got too dirty in the limelight. They can see the upgrade spill over, which outweighs any of the theoretical justification means we win. Something to the solvency apples funding because that was the argument made in the top of how for rally covers the space of injury, social, which makes space like Jesuit University that sparks. I think that decolonization, you also can see that outweighs forms of framework and also the one you see substance proper because educational things we've made translated out of potential change like resistance against erasure, building coming from the bottom up between the affirmative literally smart things like decolonization, which outweighs any of the substance arguments you make. There's no reason why the continuity argument makes any sense. Also, you can see fairness is better, which takes out all the theoretical justifications. Well, you also can see the impact terms of reasons to auto drop because there's a reason why your model of debate is violent. You see the impact terms of reason why your performance of the debate is violent. It was just a game over issue because even if I lose the some of the debate, use of form versus contradiction. The reasons why they form in the model of debate, the purposes of violence, the reasons why should auto drop. They also can see explicitly the impact terms are reasons to auto drop. Then go to the impact terms proper. Now you can see the argument that we make in the you can see the argument that we make in the top. Oh, go to the framework page first. You can see the argument that we make at the top of the framework page about why your model of debate is intrinsically violent. That was the argument that we make on the boarding school design and your form of colonial education as to why the impact terms of form reading fair because he's not only domesticate forms of teachers not to make it respectable, but triggers a lot of same logic genocide. The settler colonial was lies where indigenous folks and their scholarship were always put to be legible. Settler people should argument that framework is a boarding school where indigenous people folks indigenous folks were told their culture, business, knowledge were used to enforce renown their culture in favor of Westerners, which was our king argument articulates the violence, which means your model debate not only is genocide but also in racial forms of indigenous identity, which are only our method of rally. So your model is just a voyeuristic fantasy, which you say you should reject, which also takes out your RV arguments. Your arguments are only a pragmatic justification are all relying pragmatic justification. You see pragmatic don't matter, rather the question of the performance of the one you see. Also, it's not a question of us being fair. The reasons why your model is uniquely bad. 3 points no rejecting same factors is form by settlers design medication, which is violence because the settlers can wipe their hands clean from forms of violence, especially. That's the reason why we say the settler form of design medication like the boarding school are uniquely but your particular argument doesn't make any sense. Why you can see the absolutely smart decolonization which takes it out. That's what takes out all of your rejecting impact terms which takes it rejecting impact terms because you also see the argument so why you were able to since the one you chose not to, which is also reifies our carcerality argument because you could have engaged with the topic also was our army which means our app was topical which you just chose to engage in a carceral form of violence we say is uniquely bad which takes out your arguments to make on the top of well these are pragmatic justification rather than being as so by the one AC speech act was uniquely violent. Go to the shoes theory interpretation you can see that fairness isn't a voter cognifies the fairness impact because it's just the only impact is because it evaluates how you judge it differently but you can see that fairness isn't a voter but you also can see the impact on the fairness because you losing grades more fairness because you read up on our scholarship which means that even if they win a reason about their pragmatic you still affirm my absent that because you see the impact on why they losing specifically is uniquely which is what we made on the fair page which takes out all that takes out the argument as well and the shoes theory are very bad as well it's a form of colonial domestication which takes out the argument as well on your highlighting argument you can see it but I mean you can see it I mean the lights on your school high computer highlights which takes out that shows well on the content ethics argument first. Oh, also on the theory page, we answer resolvability claim that Nazi ethics judge the law often all the time when the debates are resolved when you should appear yourself because they're verifiable. The resolvability claim at best has an internal link to pragmatism. It doesn't matter because you can see pragmatism doesn't matter and at worst relies on appearance in mind. You can see that the fairness isn't better as well. And we can still see Nazi in the flow. Go to the con page. It doesn't matter because all your norm city arguments still like non-junction fails and also what's an article is a method of penalty makes no sense when they can see the affirmative that resolves 100% of genocide.